Welcome to the Private Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Storme, here to help you unlock the mind, business, and spirit of your private practice success. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to grow, this is the place for you if you really want to create a thriving private practice. Before we dive in, I want to share something that can really make a difference in your business. Imagine having an expert in your pocket, someone available on demand whenever you need guidance. Well, that's exactly what my new program, Practice Momentum, offers. With over 30 years of experience at your fingertips, you can now get the support you need whenever you need it. Curious? Head over to brooklynstorme.com to learn more. And now let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode. How is everything going for you in your private practice? Things are actually going really, really well over here. We had another planning day this week for Practice Momentum, as some of you already know, and it was loads of fun and really, really productive. And I just want to share with you a couple of the pieces of feedback that sort of came through this week from the people who are in the Momentum program. So one person shared with me that she feels like it's all starting to come together now. She said, I'm feeling so much more aligned with this niche, and it's actually easier now to talk about what I do. This whole process is easier now that I am so focused in. Great things to come. I'm really excited. Somebody else said, I'm running on time in my sessions now. It's a big thing for me. I really feel like I'm starting to kick some goals. I also feel like the imposter syndrome and the self-doubts are fading away. I'm trusting in the process. I mean, isn't this so good? I'm being on my side and getting these kinds of comments and feedback. It really energizes me. It just fills my heart. It fills my soul. It's so good. Somebody else said, they're the new and improved version of themselves in their private practice. And they said, 2025, look out, because here I come. It's just been so good. Somebody else was saying that there's been lots happening behind the scenes for her. She's still making some changes to her website, hoping to get onto it next week, but it's another week, another new client. So she's been getting a client a week and she's just doing so well. And she also shared too that another win for her was recognizing fears that she had around niching. And going ahead and creating a niche for herself now. So that was super fun. And then somebody else shared with me that she was so grateful for the program. She says she has so many takeaways from our work together so far. And she said that my capture of her niche was spot on and perfect. And she said that she feels like she's finally ready and can do this now. Like, get moving with a private practice because she has guidance and she has so much support. She also said, I know I'm not alone in it anymore, and that for me has been the hardest and the most isolating part. So everything is going swimmingly over in Practice Momentum. I just love it so much. And what I want to talk with you about today is kind of based on what's been coming out and evolving in some of the conversations I've been having with different people in that program. And what I want to share with you is, I guess, my take on what I see the client's journey as, because this is really helpful and it can really help you build your private practice. So listen, this is just my own observation, and you know how it's always easier to remember things if you can connect them to things that you already know, right? We do this with our clients all the time. So I would just like you to connect this to the model of change or the cycle of change. That's very sort of generally the same sort of steps or processes that clients go through on their journey with our private practice. So I thought it might be worthwhile talking about it today because it will help you understand perhaps how to get clients, why they're not booking in, what you could be doing differently to create sustainability in your private practice and all those kinds of things. I'll also try and give you some action steps along the way so that they can be really, really helpful for you as well. Okay, so this is my take on it just after my 30 years experience working in private practice and, helping other people build theirs or even start theirs. So this is what I think happens when it comes to clients. First off, I think there are a whole lot of clients out there that aren't even thinking about getting therapy. I think they're not even thinking about, working with us. It's not even on their radar. And I think there is an abundance of those people, right? They are just experiencing things in their life on a day-to-day basis, and for whatever reason, maybe, they just haven't had that exposure to, health and well-being approaches, or they're not aware of services, or they don't understand how things can help, or maybe there's cultural issues that perhaps prevent them from being able to connect with services in the way other people might, with the ease that other people might. There are some cultural differences that can make accessing services more complicated for people than for other people. Do you know what I mean? So there could be a whole lot of reasons why it's not even on someone's radar, but most of your clients fall into that bucket there. Most of your clients aren't even thinking about working with you yet. And there's a reason for that. Another reason, I should say. One of those reasons is that they're just not problem aware, right? They don't even realize that they've got a problem. They don't realize that they're a narcissist. They don't realize they've got ADD. They don't realize that, this is anxiety and it's treatable. There's just a lack of awareness that there's something they're experiencing, and that the thing that they're experiencing can be managed, addressed, improved, resolved, worked on. Do you know what I mean? So most of your clients sit in that really big bucket there. Okay. Then what stage they move into is somewhere, somehow it happens that they become aware that maybe they're experiencing a mental health condition, or maybe they're experiencing a challenge, an obstacle, a problem, a symptom, a sign. There's something unwanted, whether it's something they're thinking, feeling, doing, talking about, right? But they're now in that space of being problem aware. So they are aware something's a little bit off, and they are now curious, and they're starting to look at, well, what do I do now that I know that this is happening for me? So they're starting to do some research, and they're starting to think about their options. And these people are kind of closer in your world. If you think of orbits, the first bucket, they're way out there. The second bucket, these people who are problem aware and they're now starting to think about getting help, they're the next sort of orbit in, okay? So they're much closer to you. And these are the ones that are like, I'm thinking about it. So they're maybe going on Instagram, maybe they're going on Facebook, but usually they're going to start with Google, and they're going to start Googling their symptoms. They're going to start Googling what's wrong with me. They're going to go onto MedMD. They're going to go onto the Mayo Clinic website. They're going to start looking for all of that, right? And maybe they're going to start talking to their doctor. They might start confiding in friends and family. They're starting to explore what's out there, what's available, and they're usually, I think, looking for something that's going to be doable financially, that's going to be doable in terms of getting a result, that's going to be doable in terms of other time constraints, and that can work, that's going to actually be effective. So that's where their thinking is at, right, in the early stages of contemplation. Now, as they start going along this pathway of researching, let's say eventually they figure out that for them the right path is, counselling, right? Could be anything, could be Reiki, could be physio, could be speech or play therapy, whatever. We're just saying counselling. Let's say they've chosen that, counselling is the thing that I need. Now I need to find a counsellor. So now what they're doing is they're researching counsellors for their problem. So let's say the problem is, late diagnosed autism. So now they're Googling, counselling for late diagnosed autism. So they're Googling that and they start to see Psychology Today recommendations popping up in the Google search terms, but they're also starting to see some therapist websites popping up. So they start clicking around, okay? They go into the Psychology Today profile ones because they happen to pop up first. Psychology Today is so good with their SEO, but they'll pop up first. So they're usually going to get clicked on first. So the person's going to go and look at different profiles in Psychology Today and start getting a feel for things like, well, what are the therapies? What can I expect? What's going to happen in a session? What results can I get? How much is it going to cost? Can I get an insurance rebate? They're starting to familiarize themselves, right? And the more profiles they look at, the more they're starting to hear the same messages. So things are starting to make sense to them now. And they're saying, okay. They don't see anyone particularly that they like. They're not ready to take the action yet. They're still looking. So they come out of Psychology Today, back into that list that popped up in the original Google search, and they start clicking on the different therapists' websites that have, been delivered by Google for the search that they did, right? So they click on the first one and they're going to have a feeling straight away when they see it. They're going to have a feeling, they're going to have an experience, and they're going to say straight away yes or no. They're either going to stay on your page or they're going to click out, right? You need to know how to get somebody to stay on your page. So if you go into your Google Analytics, you'll be able to see how long people are staying on the page and what your bounce rate is and all that kind of stuff. And that'll tell you whether or not this first section, before they even start scrolling, whether or not this first section is working, right? So if they're not resonating with that, they're going to click out. Now, there are lots of things that are going to make them not resonate, okay? For example, if you've got a massive picture that's going to take forever to upload on their device or on their computer, that's going to be a problem. They're not going to wait. They're going to click out. If it just says the name of your practice and it says that you help people all the time with all the things, they're going to click out. So be mindful of what could you do to keep people on that page, right? So anyway, they're going to click in and out of a whole lot of websites. And every now and again, they're going to find a website that resonates with them. They like the colors, or they like the vibe, or they like the message, or they like the images, or they like what's written, or they like the services. So they're going to stay on those pages and they're going to start clicking around. And they're getting a sense in their mind of who they feel they like the most, who they feel is going to be the right practice for them. So this is what's happening in the contemplation stage. The contemplation stage is they become problem aware. They start accepting that there's a problem. With that acceptance comes a willingness or a motivation or a desire to look for answers. Start searching and seeing what's available, what's out there. With that, they start to narrow it down to the thing that they really like, or the thing that they feel will work the best for them. In this case, we're saying counselling. From there, they're going to start looking at what counselling options are available, because they don't know. They don't know if they need EMDR or, ACT or walk and talk. They don't know. So they're going to start clicking around, exploring, right? Until they find something that they really like. If they, come across walk and talk and they've never heard of it before and they see it's offered by a couple of therapists, they're going to start looking for more practices that offer walk and talk. So they're going off down that pathway there. And then at the end of the day, they're going to take an action, right? And that action is booking a session. So that's when they move into the third phase in their journey, okay? And that third phase is getting started. Now, that action could look like making a quick call to ask you some questions and clarify a few things before they actually book in, or they could just book in straight away, right? Or if it's not a counselling service, maybe you've got a counselling program for late diagnosed women with autism, as per our example. Whatever it is, they're starting to take some action. From that action stage, this is where you show up now and there's more engagement with you personally. Okay. Up until this point, there hasn't really been any direct contact with you, right? They're really just looking at the marketing, whatever you've put out there. If your marketing matched what they need, they will see it. If your marketing didn't match what they need, they're not going to see it and they won't move into this phase with you. So the fact that there's action happening means that you're on the right path with the marketing, which is good. So yeah, once somebody has had the call or maybe they booked in for their first session or whatever, usually you're going to convert them where it's ethical, where it's clinically indicated that you have the, competence and the skills to be able to support them. So just on that, by the way, I really feel very strongly about competence in terms of, I don't know, if you're saying that you work in a specialist area, I think it's always so important that you've got something that can back it up, right? So if you have no training whatsoever in working with late diagnosed women, who've got autism, I don't know that it's entirely ethical to advertise that you help them, right? This is coming from a few things. It's coming from my own training in ethics. It's coming from my own training back as a psychologist with everything that was drummed into us with competency and skills. It's coming from ACA and PACFA's updated codes of ethics, especially around marketing and misleading people, making sure that you're offering what you are competent to deliver, but also from my lived experience, which is if I went and found a therapist and I started working with them on my, late diagnosed autism and ADD, and I found out later on that she had not completed any training in late diagnosed autism and ADD and how to treat it and what it is and what to look out for and stuff like that, I would be very upset about that and I would take action. I would do something about it because I would feel like I was misled. So anyway, just think about that. I can't tell you what to do. It's only suggestions that I make here, and it's always up to you to do what feels most aligned for you. But anyway, they're going to take action. So that action is going to be they're booking sessions with you. They're attending their sessions. They're attending on a regular basis. They're getting improvements. Everything's plodding along really, really well. Okay. And then what happens is at some point, very organically, we come to the natural conclusion of their active therapy phase. Okay, the therapy is coming to a close. Active therapy is now coming to a close. So they've made the changes, they've made the gains, they've addressed the challenges, the problems, the issues that caused them to seek your support in the first place. And now they're ready to move into the next part of their journey, right? Which is the last part for most of them. And that is the maintenance part of the journey. And this is where they're going to go and maintain through the practices, the skills, the tools, the ahas, the insights that they've experienced working with you. They're now able to go and maintain all of those gains that they've made, right? And they're going to be able to, they're stabilized in terms of their symptoms, they're stabilized in terms of the thinking, the thoughts, the feelings, the actions that they're taking, the behaviors they're engaging in. Everything's going to stabilize and they're better now than they were when they first began with you, right? Which is the goal, right? It's growth, isn't it? They're better now than when they first started with you. So they're moving to the maintenance part of their journey. And so this is important for you to understand that this is how a client, and if you've ever been a client, which most of you have, or perhaps, should have been, it's always encouraged that as therapists, we always get our own therapy, right? So you will know as well from your own journey looking for a therapist that this is exactly what happens and this is the path that you go down, right? So what happens is sometimes for people who are running their private practice, they might not necessarily understand the pathway that clients go through. Excuse me, Buddy. Buddy is my 21-month-old King Charles Cavalier. I still call him a puppy. He's a teenager, I reckon. But he's just got this new habit of he really likes to scrub up the carpet, make it all nice and warm before he sits down. It was just bothering me, the noise. Sorry. So what some people don't understand in private practice is that there are these 4 stages of a client journey, and that part of building a sustainable practice is being able to meet clients where they are. Now, I know a lot of you talk about meeting clients where they are, but most of you are focusing just on the action stage, right? You're focusing just on the action stage, maybe the contemplation, but usually the action. So all your marketing is focusing on the action stage. Book your appointment, get your next session, book a discovery call. That's where your marketing has been focused on. And so if your marketing is only focusing on the action stage, you're missing out on that big pool of clients that's over there who hasn't even started thinking about working with you yet because they're not problem aware, right? So one of the things that you need to, consider for your practice in terms of building out sustainability and getting that, so many people talk about wanting to have the steady flow of inquiries, the consistent flow of inquiries, all the bookings, things like that. That happens right at the beginning, right? So you have to make sure that you're not really marketing to the action phase, that you're marketing to the pre-contemplation phase, right? And your marketing has to go in a cycle of always, capturing the imagination of the people who haven't even realized that they might have a problem yet. And this is, something that we're working on with one of the girls in the Momentum program during the week, looking at, where her marketing has been focused. And then we're able to make her a plan so that she can capture people at each stage and move them really smoothly, nicely, ethically, safely into the next stage. There's a really nice progression. She's got that happening now. She didn't have that before. And so for her, this is definitely part of the way that she's going to build the sustainability in her practice. And by sustainability, in her case, it's about having consistency in the income rather than feast or famine. It's about being able to get her time back. She was saying to me, I've got so much that I want to do. I'm just really in the mood now and everything's on the top of my mind and I'm all really excited about doing it. And I'm going to go and do it on the weekend. And I said to her, hang on, we've got a long weekend. Like maybe just put a pin in it for now. Give yourself the weekend and then come back to it on Tuesday. Because we don't want to burn ourselves out doing all of the things, right? But it's really exciting when you've got the plans. She had been struggling for such a long time, not understanding why her marketing had not been landing for people. She's got beautiful branding, by the way. It's stunning. Like, I love her branding. I think she could do this for a second job, organize people's brandings. She's got a real gift and a real skill. She's got a very creative eye. And so despite having this really gorgeous, luxurious branding and posting regularly on Instagram and having a really beautiful website, it wasn't connecting. And she just kept doing more of it because she thought that, it was working and that it was going really well and that she was doing all of the right things. And on the surface, absolutely, it looks like she is. But the numbers tell a very different story. So when we were able to do an assessment together and I was able to ask her questions relating to the practice, relating to the sustainability, it was very quickly I was able to see for her where the gap had been. And it was just in understanding this. And then what happened was during the week, there were a couple of other people in the program that had experienced something similar. So they were very focused on getting more clients as part of their 90-day program. And so we had a look, we did an assessment of their marketing, we had an assessment of, we printed out all sorts of reports from Power Diary. And we looked at we drilled down on the numbers, and then I was very easily able to see, what had been missing, where the blind spot had been. And once we're able to identify that, I was able to talk both the girls through what to do next, right? How do we fix it? How do we change it? How do we build it out and do it in a way that feels really, really aligned? And so that's where also some of the work came in this week around values. So I'm very big on values and using values. I mean, so many times, we talk about our values and the things that are really, really important to us, yet we forget to use them as a lens for how we actually show up in our business. We say this is who we are and what we're about. We talk about authenticity, for example, but we'll go and use stock photos on our website and we'll get ChatGPT to write the copy. I mean, it's hypocritical. So you have to really think about what your values are. And, there's no good values, there's no bad values. We just want to be clear on you being congruent with your values, because I really believe that it's the incongruence that can be such a hiccup when it comes to attracting clients. I think clients are pretty smart, and when we say one thing but they can see we're doing something else, I think it breaks trust. And that's perhaps why some practices don't get the flow of inquiries and bookings that they deserve and that they could be experiencing. But anyway, there's so much to learn about running a private practice. But I just felt this week one of the themes that came up was related to getting clients, the marketing, why they're doing all of the things in the marketing but not getting a result yet. And what's the difference between those people and the other people who are in the program who are getting results in terms of getting clients so early? I mean, we're only in week 3. We're only in week 3. I'm just like rubbing my chin here thinking, is it week 3 or is it week 4? But it's very early days. It's very early days yet, but we can already see that some people who use these strategies are, gunning it and they're already starting to fill out their diary. Other people, it's just not resonating right now. And we know why. It's because it's not the strategy, it's how they're using the strategy, and they had just been using the strategy at a different stage of the client journey than they needed to. So as I said, they've been focused on the action stage and marketing to people who are already in the action stage. You don't need to market to those people. They're already sold. You do not need to market to them. So you don't need to do the post saying book now, do this, do that. You need to be marketing to the people who are in the, not even thinking about it. They're in the problem unaware phase. And you need to start marketing to the people who are in the, okay, so I get it. There's something not quite right here. Now I'm aware that there's a problem. They're the two places that you need to be focused on and using your marketing strategies with, right? Now, you're probably thinking, it all sounds too hard and here's something else that I've got to learn and things like that. But I want you to know, no, it's not hard. I make the plans for you, and that's part of what happens in the Practice Momentum program. So yeah, and you've already heard some of the results. They're all just doing so well. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you too was that I've been doing some fun stuff this week. So one of my lovely clients was needing help with recruitment, and I was looking at all the different recruitment strategies that are out there, and then I used I just used like my own little strategy that I love to use. It's one of those strategies that the more you use it, the more you want to use it because it's so powerful and it really does work. And I'll tell you what it is as well, of course. The strategy that I'm talking about is like kind of checking in with myself. I say my higher guidance. You might say source, you might say, yeah, your higher consciousness, something. You might say your soul, you might say, the guru within, whatever. We're all talking about the same thing. But what I do is I write it out. And so I gave myself a little journal prompt around, if I was going to be able to bring a brand new, fresh approach to recruiting, because recruiting is so problematic. I don't know if you have any experience with it or not. Part of me says don't do it. But because it's really challenging. But the other part of me says, if you know what you're doing and you've got a strategy that works, it's going to be 10 times easier. You'll save yourself so much time and so many headaches and so much money. And when you get the right people into your business, it is such a joy, and they can really, elevate the practice. They can help you because they might have different skill set or a different niche or something like that. So it can really add so much value to the work that you're already doing. And it can be really, really great. But if you don't know how to recruit, like if you never learned, if you're just kind of guessing your way through how to recruit, and let's be honest, that generally looks like you think to yourself, oh, I need to hire somebody, I better write an ad and put the ad on Seek. And you do that before you've even written a position description. And then what happens is the ad is on Seek, or the ad is up on Ethical Jobs, and you start to get applications from all these random people from different countries or who have different backgrounds. I know because I've seen it happen. I help private practice owners with challenges like this. And yeah, it's really hard because then you've got to wade through all of this and try and find the needle in the haystack. And if you are desperate to have somebody in the practice, it's a problem because suddenly people that you would not normally consider offering a position to suddenly look like, they're the best thing since sliced bread. You give them the role and then, it all goes south shortly thereafter, and boom, you're back on the hamster wheel, and then you're in the communities and you're saying to everybody, is anybody else experiencing high turnover? Is anybody else having problems with recruitment? I'll tell you right now, there are people that are having problems with recruitment. There are private practice owners that are having problems with getting the right team members in, and there are also private practice owners who can do that part really well, but they can't keep anybody to save themselves. They've got a really high turnover rate. And then the other thing is, for some reason, somewhere along the line, there seems to be a little sub cohort of, I'm going to say therapists. So, not being profession specific here, but who seem to think it's okay to ghost an employer, just not turn up on day one, or just not turn up after they've been there for 6 weeks, just totally vanish off the face of the earth and disappear, only to pop up on another practice's social media feed, when they announce welcome to the new practitioner, and there's your hire on their social media post. It's like, what? And especially it's so baffling when we're all about ethical practice and don't leave your clients in the lurch and this, that, and the other. But so many times it happens. It's weird. It's so weird. But anyway, so I was just sort of checking in with myself, like my higher self, and I was just giving myself a journal prompt about, if I got to create a recruitment process that therapists could use that wouldn't eat into their time, that wouldn't require a lot of tech skills, that would be mostly automated, that would ensure that the people that they were interviewing were suitable for the role based on their criteria and things like that. What would that process look like? And I started writing stuff out, and then I asked myself, what does the process look like currently? And again, it's very easy to see how private practices are recruiting. They're using very old ways, ways from, the 2000s. What do you call them? is it the aughties, the noughties? I don't know, but from the 2000s, right? We're in 2025 now. You can't be just throwing an ad up on LinkedIn or an ad up on Seek or Ethical Jobs and, saying 5 Hail Marys and hoping that you're going to get the right person. It doesn't work like that. You can't do that. So you need a new approach that's going to speak to new people. So for me, I'm Gen X, right? So when I was looking for jobs, I had to really sell myself to an employer. I remember getting really dressed up, making my hair nice, putting on my makeup, getting my little briefcase, printing off an extra copy of my CV, my resume, going along to the interviews feeling terribly nervous, and then just performing the very best. I wanted to show them that I was the best person for the role, that I was hungry for it, that I could do it and then some. I really wanted to impress an employer. And, I always just wanted to put my best foot forward. And I just remembered like trying so hard in those interviews. And, then waiting on tenterhooks for like, am I going to get it? Am I not? I just remember putting so much effort. And the way that I used to find my jobs was on Seek or on Indeed back then. And I would find the job, and the job would look very official. It would say ABC Psychology Clinic is looking for a psychologist. These are our requirements. You must have this qualification, this many years experience, be Medicare registered, be able to do this, that, and the other. And do you know what I mean? And these are your duties. And it would list the duties of what you wanted to, what you had to do or what the expectations were. And then it would say, apply now, cutoff date is this time, da 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 da. So I always used to feel like, oh gosh, I better get my application in today because I don't want to miss this. And it felt very, very, like you had to be super duper professional. But anyway, I was reflecting on my own experiences looking for contracts and looking for work back in the day. And then I was thinking about, well, what's it like now? And I realized that things have changed. And I was able to create a brand new process for recruiting. A brand new process for recruiting that is modern, that's fresh, that's actually going to work. I mean, this one of the biggest problems I think with using outdated recruiting methods is just the white noise, just the brain fog that candidates can experience when they're looking for work. I mean, I don't know when the last time was that you were on Seek looking for a counselling job or a psychology job, but oh my goodness, they all look the same. It's like, your brain just ends up tuning out after a while because it just feels like you're reading the same thing over and over. Like they'll say things like, if I'm thinking about a Seek ad, for example, it'll say something like competitive salary, option to work from home, supportive team, supervision included, right? It's going to say all the same boring stuff. And then, it's just like no ad in particular stands out. And then because people aren't getting either enough inquiries or they're not getting inquiries from the right people for the position, they then take a package option with something like Seek, for example, to make sure that their ad is, front and center so more people see it. So they sponsor their ad, they throw more money at that ad and hope that it's going to get seen. But, it's a very interesting phenomena that you probably know about already, but we learned this in psychology. And it was that you should never highlight things because the way that your brain works is neurologically, your eyes will skip over a highlight because your brain says you've already got it, you've already seen it, you don't need it, and that it's a different chunk of information to what you're reading, and therefore it's not important. So, we're always taught don't highlight things because you will never look at your highlights. And I don't know about you and if that's been your experience, but do you look at the things that you've highlighted or generally not? For me, I'm more of a dog-ear person. I will dog-ear pages on books, which I know is terrible, but I do it. Anyway, where was I going with this? Yeah, so when somebody throws extra money at the ad because they're desperate for more people to get eyes on it, what ends up happening is that ad gets bigger and brighter and things like that. And because it's right at the top, sometimes people just like skip past it to get to like the real ads, which sounds counterintuitive, I know. But think about when you look on Google. I don't know, like I look on Google for, I don't know, I can't even think of an example at the moment that would be relevant here, but let's say you're looking on Google for something and you see all those sponsored ads come up first and your brain's just like, yeah, they're not relevant. And so you bypass the sponsored ads and you just want to get to like the good websites. It works like that when you're, boosting things and putting, extra bright colors on things. It can have the opposite effect sometimes. So also if you're if you're looking for jobs on Seek, you might also be looking for them on your socials, because now you've probably started typing into your socials, work for counsellors online, Counsellor Jobs Victoria or something like that. So you've started typing this into your social media, and now your feed is starting to get flooded with people who are advertising. And how many times have you seen the job ad that comes up that says we're hiring? Or we're expanding our team and stuff like that. And it's just like all these ads, again, start to blur into each other. They all sound usually quite excited. There's usually a lot of bright color, and there's nothing really there that's going to draw you in, because, again, it's all sounding the same. Competitive salary, we're growing, we're expanding, we're hiring, supervision included, blah, 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 friendly team. It's all the same. So anyway, based off that, I thought, well, let's make a process. So yeah, I made up this whole other process, and I am so excited for people to start using it, because I just know it's going to work. I know that I know what the average click-through rate is for a job on Seek, but I'll be very interested to see what the average click-through rate is for my process. I reckon it's going to be like 10 times as high. I really believe that. And what's more is it will allow practice owners to save some coin, to save some hard-earned money, because you can do it all organically. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that unfolds. And yeah, I can't wait. I just love my job so much. Don't you just love your job so much? Anyway, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. I think it's going to be a bit of a quieter week moving into the next week. For some of us, we have tomorrow off. Yay. But also I know down here in Victoria, we've got like a little bit of a mini heat wave happening. We all know now that the cyclone Alfred, that was meant to be category 2, got completely downgraded to a tropical grade, which is so good. However, there's still flooding, there's still problem areas. There are still people who've lost houses, who've lost practices, who are without power. Do you know what I mean? They're not out of the, what did they say? I can't even remember. Out of the woods. They're not out of the woods yet. And yeah, so we still have to keep an eye on those people, make sure that they've got support and that they've got access to anything that might be able to help them get their practice back. So for that reason, a few days ago, I set up a GoFundMe for counsellors, because we were expecting that it was going to be this, big cyclone, category grade 2, that, there'll be trauma in the communities and people needing counselling. But there was also going to be counsellors that were experiencing trauma needing counselling. And in order for counsellors to be able to go and help people in their communities, they also need equipment. And if they've lost their equipment or it's been damaged in the cyclone, I wanted to be able to have a little pot of money there so that we could distribute it equally between all of those people so that it could help get them back on their feet, because I really believe that the fastest way to get back on your feet is through your work, right? You've got to start bringing that money in. And I just wanted to make sure if somebody wasn't able to use their rooms because the rooms have been flooded, that they could at least do something like telehealth. And if they needed, $100 to upgrade their Zoom, I wanted to make sure that we had $100 for that person in the GoFundMe account so that they could do it, right? Because if they're helping people, then they're being helped, and vice versa. So that was the goal there. I will still leave the GoFundMe up for maybe a week or so, just until the dust settles. We have had a few therapists in private practice in Queensland and New South Wales reach out about the GoFundMe. So they are wanting some support. So I'll certainly make sure that that's given to them. And the way that that's just going to happen is, just for full transparency here, you can go into the GoFundMe and you can see how much money has been raised. I think it's only $200 at the moment, but you can see how much money is being raised. And then all we're going to do is just divide that by the number of people who request support. And that's the fairest way that I can think of doing it, right? It's not going to be you have to prove that you were in all of this devastation, or you got to prove that you've got trauma and you need therapy or something like that. If you need support, if you were affected and you need a bit of financial assistance, let me know. You can add your name to the list, and then when the GoFundMe is over, as I said, all I'll do is I will just say, well, we had 5 people ask for support. We've got this much in the account, we'll just divide it by 5, and then you will just get the money. So that's that. So anyway, I hope that this was super duper helpful. This week in Momentum, we've got people who are now looking at implementing their plan that's going to shift people through those 4 stages of their journey with the private practice. And it's so exciting. I can't wait to see their progress. We take it very easy. We focus on just a couple of really simple things each week. And they're things that really do shift the needle. And as you can hear, people are already getting wins and celebrating success and celebrating progress. And you can already hear, like, people are talking about the imposter syndrome is starting to fade, and it's only been such a short time. I love this program so much. If you're needing help with your private practice, it could be something that could work for you too. If you would like to know more about it, just reach out. I'm more than happy to email you some information, or if you would like to speak about it and ask some questions, you can do that too. I'll put the link to book a call below in the show notes. I hope that this was really helpful for you, and have a wonderful Sunday. Bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorme.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.